diagnosis, treatment and rehabilitation of people suffering from hearing loss and balance issues. In addition, I specialise in the removal of earwax, infected debris, dead skin from the external auditory canal, which is the ear canal in humans. Welcome to my latest video. So we have a young lady here who has a fully occluding left ear with soft earwax, soft and sticky earwax. You do tend to find this in the summer months. This client actually last visited prior to Christmas and her wax was a bit firmer, but in the summer months, because of the increased temperature and heat, the wax can actually change consistency. As you can see, the wax is quite a gooey, syrupy, glutinous consistency, and I initially used a suction probe, a Zollner suction probe, but that consistency just blocked that tube. So I resorted to a Jobson horn, and the idea here is just to make a bit of headway at the entrance, so the lateral part of the ear canal, using the Jobson horn. And as I'm removing that wax, you can see that glutinous, syrupy type of wax stretch. You saw a bit there. There was a bit of hair matted to the wax as well. And the idea here really is to remove this outer soft glutinous layer of wax and thereafter instill some olive oil drops to change the consistency. If I were to put some olive oil drops right at the beginning of the procedure, there's a good chance that those drops won't penetrate deeper into the ear, which means I'll have to just put some more drops in a bit later. So as you can see, I've cleared the majority of the entrance of the ear canal, and I'm just using the Jobson horn now to lift the soft sticky wax off the posterior canal wall. In fact, it's called the posterior lateral canal wall. So when we say posterior, we always mean to the rear, to the back. So that's the back part of the ear canal, and lateral means further away from the eardrum. Medial is the opposite, so that's further into the eardrum, towards the eardrum. And now I'm working on the roof of the ear canal on the anterior aspect. So anterior means the front part of the ear canal, and the roof is the top part. Clinically we call that the superior aspect of the ear canal. You can see I'm doing quite well here. I'm removing large chunks. The wax is still sticky, but further in you can see the wax is a bit darker and a bit more impacted, although there is a bit of dead keratin just at the roof. You may have seen that. So keratin is typically a lighter shade, almost translucent, and you can see keratin here. So we've got keratin either side of the ear canal, and I'm just using it. I've just resorted back to my Zollner suction probe here just to lift that. With the skin, it does give you a bit more grip, so it is a bit easier to use suction probe as opposed to a Jobson horn to remove. And those little wriggles there, those little kind of up and down movements, it's just designed to lift, retract the skin off the canal wall, and those movements do help. At this stage now, I've decided to instill some olive oil drops. And the important bit, whenever you use any types of ear drops, I often hear clients explain to me that they leave the drops overnight, and the ear that they've put the wax drops in, they elevate that to the ceiling all night, and they put some cotton wool. A couple of issues with that. So if ever you put cotton wool in the ear after instilling drops, that cotton wool will just absorb the drops, so it won't really penetrate into the wax. So it's almost a counterproductive measure. And it's so important to drain your ear afterwards. I'll come back to that in a moment, but you just saw there I removed a large chunk of wax, and that white gloss, that was dead keratin. So the keratin is peeling off the canal wall, and that keratin is also attached to the earwax. So just going back to the use of ear drops, I always recommend my clients, whenever using drops, instill the drops for 5 minutes with the ear that you're instilling it in facing the ceiling, and after 5 minutes, rotate your head 180 degrees, so that ear is now facing the floor, so these drops drains out. If you don't drain your ear, you may just be softening that wax, and because you're not draining it, that softened wax will just drizzle further down the ear canal and rest on the eardrum. I've had quite a few clients this week actually with those same issues, where you've had wet wax layering over the eardrum, and when I've dug a bit deeper, we've realised they haven't drained their ear, and instead all they're serving to achieve is to get this wet drizzly wax further down, settling on the eardrum, which makes it much more complicated to remove. You just saw previously I removed a big chunk of wax, and there's a bit more wax there with dead keratin that I removed, and we've got the remaining segment of wax, which is quite medial. It's on the bony part of the ear canal, which is the inner kind of 2/3, and you can see how much the oil has helped. Having said that, the wax deeper in the ear was a bit firmer. It wasn't as glutinous and sticky as the lateral wax, so the oil no doubt did help, but also the consistency of wax was slightly different. The procedure's finished now, but I'm just mopping up near the entrance. You can see there's a bit of soft, sticky, syrupy, honey type wax at the entrance. At the base there on the floor, you'll see a few cilia that's coated in a bit of oil. Just trying to vacuum as much as I can. You may know from previous videos and explanations of the ear anatomy, the lateral parts of the outer third of the ear canal, it's formed of cartilage, where the inner 2/3, it's literally a very thin sheet of skin coating the bony part of the ear canal wall, and that part of the ear canal is very sensitive, whereas the outer third, the lateral aspect, the cartilage portion of the ear canal, it has a bit more give, so we can be a bit more vigorous, we can put a bit more pressure on the ear canal. We just have to be careful not to elicit the gag reflex. At the floor of the ear canal, you've got a host of nerves, one called the Arnold's nerve, and if you stimulate that nerve, it can elicit a cough reflex, a gag reflex. And during these times, with COVID-19, we're obviously trying to minimise any fluid droplets exiting the client's mouth. They do wear a fluid repellent surgical face mask, but nonetheless, it's always good practice at the moment to try and avoid that. Thank you for watching. You would have seen a still image there of all that wax removed. You will see the different shades as well. You will see the lighter wax, which is the more recently formed wax, and the darker, more oxidized wax, which was more medial in the ear canal. So that's obviously been in the ear canal for a lot longer. I hope you enjoyed that. If this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel or like and follow my Facebook page. If you're on YouTube, please also do select the bell icon, and that will notify you as and when I upload a new video. I'd just like to end by wishing everyone watching this is keeping well and safe, and I shall